Okay, now we're back for another video. The Cubs had played another doubleheader today against St. Louis, and they split that doubleheader. They intentionally dropped the first game 9-3, but then they won the second one 4-2. Alec Mills goes in the first game, gets a basically because he gave up a basis, because he gave up a grand slam in the first inning. That's what caused him to lose the first game. Now in the second game, Adbert Alizé pitched that game for the doubleheader for the Cubs. He he got a no decision. I think it was Jeff Hurst that got the win. I have to look it up to make sure. But the Cubs would win the second game 4-2. Now I don't know if you guys saw Michelle Obama's speech that she gave the other day, but to me it was very moving, and it was basically what we needed in a time of need. Former First Lady Michelle Obama's speech at the Democratic National Convention was not just a powerful condemnation of the fake President Donald Trump's record in handling the pandemic. It was an appeal aimed at the heart and conscience of every American who has watched the chaos of the last 4 years and yearned to make things right. Reprising her role as the closer, this time for former Vice President Joe Biden on the convention's opening night, Michelle Obama spoke as the wife of a former president who has seen the immense weight and awesome power of the presidency up close. She spoke as a mother trying to teach empathy and instill a strong moral foundation in her daughters. As she spoke as an American pained to see many people hurting at a time when the coronavirus has claimed more than 170,000 lives in the U.S. and cast millions into unemployment. On a night when many convention speakers, including four Republicans, tried to convince Americans of all political persuasions that they should choose country over party, Michelle urged them to choose right over wrong, reminding her audience that she hates politics, in general, and she asked all of her listeners to close out the noise and the fear and open their hearts. Those who do that, she said, know that's what's going on in this country is not just right. The 18-minute address represented one of the most effective moral arguments against Trump's presidency from a prominent Democrat and came with a stark warning from the former First Lady. If you take one thing from my words tonight, it is this: if you think that things cannot possibly get worse, trust me, they will, and they will if we don't make a change in this election. If we have any hope of ending this chaos, we would have to go out and vote for Biden like our lives depend on it, she said in a pre-taped address. Let me be honest and clear as I possibly can. Donald Trump is the worst fake president for our country, the former First Lady said, faulting the fake president for downplaying the virus, stoking racial tension, separating families at the border, and exhibiting almost no empathy for the grief and loss that so many Americans have experienced. She had harsh words for the fake president's derisive attempts to label demonstrators protested Floyd's death as thugs who represent a threat to Americans' way of life, and called him out for coddling white supremacists in Charlottesville, Virginia. She faulted Trump for refusing to acknowledge the racism inherent in American policing as a never-ending list of innocent people of color continue to be murdered, while stating the simple fact that Black Lives Matter is still met with derision from the nation's highest office. America's children, she said, see our leaders labeling fellow citizens as enemies of the state, while emboldening torch-bearing white supremacists. They watch in horror as children are torn from their families and thrown into cages, and pepper spray and rubber bullets are used on peaceful protesters so that Trump could have a fake photo op. Sadly, this is the America that is on display for the next generation to see. A nation that's underperforming, not simply on matters of policy, but on matters of character. America's children are seeing this White House promote greed and entitlement that says only certain people belong here, and the notion that winning is everything, because as long as you come out on top, it doesn't matter what happens to everyone, Michelle Obama added. Basically, she goes on to say that Trump has had more than enough time to prove that he can do the job, but he is clearly in over his head. He cannot meet this moment. He simply cannot be who we need him to be for us, she said, before invoking Trump's callous response when asked about lives lost from the coronavirus in this country. She basically uses words against him. It is what it is. Obama wrote that particular speech with the assistance of a speechwriter and practiced it for weeks, and the remarks were immensely personal for her. An Obama aide told CNN while the speechwriter helped, the former First Lady knew clearly what she wanted to say despite wishing to avoid dipping her toes back into politics, the aide said. Michelle Obama's speech was taped before Kamala Harris was picked as Biden's vice president nominee, according to an Obama advisor, and she did not mention Harris at all in her remarks. Obama had tried Michelle Obama tried to serve as a character witness for Biden, making an explicit contrast between Trump and the man who served alongside her husband for 8 years as a vice president. She noted that the job of a president requires a clear-headed judgment, a mastery of complex and competing issues, a devotion to facts and history, and a moral compass and ability to listen, something that Trump doesn't do. Adding that the president must believe that each life in this country has meaning and worth, which also Trump doesn't understand. Biden understands the losses that many Americans are facing, she said, because he has lived through some of them himself. From the days when Biden's father struggled to provide for his children, to the loss of his first wife, a young daughter in a car accident in 1972, and to his grief and anguish losing his son Beau Biden at the age of 46 to brain cancer just 5 years ago. Whenever we look to this White House for some leadership or consolation or any semblance of steadiness, what we get instead is chaos, division, and a total and utter lack of empathy. Michelle Obama had said, Joe knows the anguish of sitting at a table with an empty chair, which is why he gives his time so freely to grieving parents. She continued, his life is a testament to getting back up, and he is going to channel that same grit and passion to pick us all up, to help us heal and guide us forward. Perhaps Michelle Obama's most famous quote came during her 2016 convention speech, "When they go low, we go high." During Trump's presidency, she said, many people have asked, when others are going so low, does going high still really work? Basically her answer was, going high is the only thing that does work, because when we go low, when we use those same tactics of degrading and dehumanizing others, which is something that Trump always does, we just become part of the ugly noise that's drowning out everything else. She said, we degrade ourselves, we degrade the very causes for which we fight. At a time when the U.S. Postal Service is under attack and there are lawsuits and legal hurdles being thrown up all over the nation that would limit the right to vote, Michelle Obama encouraged her listeners to vote early, in person, or request mail-in ballots right now, tonight, and send them back immediately and follow up to make sure that they're received, and then make your friends and family do the same. We have to go out to grab our comfortable shoes, put on our masks, pack a brown bag dinner, and maybe breakfast too, because we've got to be willing to stand in line all night if we have to. She urged Democrats to marshal the same level of compassion that they did in 2008 and 2012, and make a plea to leave no doubt about the margin of the election, vote for Joe Biden in numbers that cannot be ignored.